Hey guys, how we doing today? I just want to pop on and talk a little bit about this Jeffrey Epstein thing. I'm a little frustrated with how everything and everyone that questions this whole ordeal is being called a conspiracy theorist. Now, everybody that knows me knows that I don't mind talking conspiracy theories. Some of them are entertaining to me, some of them I take very seriously. But conspiracy theory, by definition, is the belief that some sort of covert but influential group had influence over a specific event. It's that simple. So clearly anybody that questions anything is a conspiracy theorist. Fine. And as we all know, when events like this, like with Epstein, have taken place, all kinds of theories rise to the surface, and I'm not going to get into them. All you have to do is pop onto social media. But there are some unreasonable theories, and there's some pretty valid questions and likely things that could have happened. And people go crazy when we feel like, the powers that be are withholding information. I mean, that's what drives all these theories. That's what takes the simple questions and make them so complex, because we're not getting information, so we feel the need to create our own truth and our own idea of what happened, and then they spread like wildfire, and there's no control over that. And, in my opinion, I feel like sometimes the powers that be like that because we're so busy arguing with each other that we don't have time to question them. Is that true? Maybe. Just my thoughts. With Epstein's death over the weekend, questions are popping up all over, and they're very valid. I mean, because it just so happens that his cellmate was moved out. It just so happens that the guards weren't paying attention. It just so happens that he's taken off suicide watch. It just so happens that there's no video. It just so happens that the autopsy report is a waste of paper to this point. There are no answers. So questioning an event doesn't make you this tinfoil hat wearing person hiding in your closet trying to avoid the electromagnetic waves that the government is sending to read your every thought. It doesn't make you that. Questioning an event makes you intelligent enough to know that there's problems with the story and you want answers. And there's nothing wrong with that. Having pop culture give this negative connotation to anything that has the word conspiracy theory related to it has now provided this conditioned response from the majority of people to look at anything that says that term and totally discredit it based on this massive, stereotypical response. The difference with this event, with Epstein's death, everybody is questioning it. Everybody has questions. Lots of people are sitting back going, there is no way. I mean, nobody is accepting the story we've been given. I mean, in my opinion, and I want to make that very clear, I think the powers that be took this story a little too far this time. They really underestimated the amount of intelligence that exists in the world, and they thought that they could just get away with whatever they wanted to get away with and tell the story they wanted to tell and, get up the next day and go on to the next thing. And that's not happening this time. It really is different to have a small cell of people after an event get together and be like, hey, what do you think of this? I was wondering if. But now to have damn near the entire planet looking at them and saying, this is a crock of crap, and we want to know what happened at MCC that night and how somebody like Epstein could have ended up dead in a cell with nobody knowing anything. I'm frustrated that the reasonable questions regarding this event that the majority of the population wants to know are being put under the same blanketed tarp with the outlandish theories that are spreading like wildfire on social media. Now, granted, in my opinion, some of those theories might be plausible. I could see how those pieces fit together. But I think it's unfair to discount every question and every possibility based on the people who are taking the most people who are taking the most embellished stories and running with them. I don't want to get into my theories and my ideas of what may or may not have happened. I'm simply just wanting to vent about the lack of separation between reasonable questioning and unfounded, outlandish accusations. At the end of the day, his death could have simply been a case of gross incompetence. But the perfect storm that presented itself in that short period of time clearly has some issues, and there are questions that need to be answered. It's that simple. But it would be naive to think that the powers that be and those who need to be protected haven't protected themselves thus far, and there's no reason to think they're going to stop doing so in the future. There are so many layers to this case, and I'm totally down to discuss them. We are currently working with a couple people. We're looking to put a panel together, maybe do a live stream, and I'd look forward to hearing all of your guys' opinions. I mean, I'm open to anything. As long as everybody is nice and kind to each other and respectful, we can toss around the crazy theories. I don't care. I mean, I'm down for anything. I would love to get to the bottom of this. Will we ever have answers? Probably not, but a discussion definitely needs to be opened up into how this happened, how this was allowed to happen, and why 72 hours later we still have no answers. I mean, there are so many layers to this story, not only with the events that took place over the weekend. I mean, we can go back over a decade to discuss Epstein and his activities. I mean, he started his adult life as a math teacher, yet he ended up being what he became. So it would be really interesting to kind of, start from the beginning and figure out how he got to this point. That might provide more answers than we think. So I found this really cool article this afternoon about how when to take a conspiracy theory and actually give it some validity. Again, going back to the description of a conspiracy theory means you've done nothing more than question an event. So this article is really cool. I've linked it below. I invite you guys all to read it and then come back and comment on it. We're looking to put together a kind of panel of sorts to discuss this situation and specifically this topic and how, as a society, we can take valid questions and keep them separated from the outlandish, crazy theories that decided, I can't even say them because some of them are even too crazy for me, and I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to this stuff. So anyway, go ahead and subscribe, ring that bell below so you can be part of the conversation with the panel. I'm not sure I'm going to set that up, but if you ring that bell, you'll be one of the first to know. I want you guys to have a great day. I want you to keep your mind open to all the possibilities, and definitely comment below. Be respectful because everybody's going to have different opinions. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye.
It's one of those things that, we could be talking about, like who shot JFK. It could just be lasting forever. Who knows?
Exactly right. A life that ended in disgrace, a death that has left many, many questions. Jeffrey Epstein was accused of sex trafficking and of sexually abusing a number of underage girls in the early 2000s. Facing a possible 45-year prison sentence, he pleaded not guilty.
Breaking news this hour, officials say multimillionaire Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life.
Yesterday, he was found dead here, in his cell in Manhattan. The Federal Bureau of Prisons called it an apparent suicide. His victims say they have now been robbed of justice, as he will never face the consequences of the crimes he committed. As his body left hospital, countless questions remained. Given that Epstein was found semi-conscious in his cell last month, why was he still not on suicide watch at the time of his death? Former US Attorney for the Southern District of New York tweeted that there should be video from Epstein's cell. But the questions have also given way to conspiracy, given that Epstein was a notable figure with notable connections, including with President Trump, who has denied ever knowing about Epstein's alleged trafficking scheme. Now, the president is helping to spread an outrageous false story about Epstein's death being tied to the Clintons, a favourite target of Republican conspiracy theories. One of the posts he retweeted contained the hashtag #ClintonBodyCount.
President Trump could use his megaphone for anything, but the president often uses it to amplify that which is the worst of us: personal attacks, bigotry, and insane conspiracy theories.
While both Trump and Clinton knew Epstein, neither have ever been named in connection to his alleged trafficking. A spokesperson for President Clinton said the former president knows nothing about the terrible crimes of Jeffrey Epstein. His death comes the day after documents were released by a Manhattan court containing the details of a civil case between an Epstein accuser and Epstein's long-term friend and confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of newspaper mogul Robert Maxwell. She has previously denied any involvement in any wrongdoing, including the many widespread allegations now in the public domain from those court documents released in the US. In those documents, Prince Andrew was accused of groping a young woman. Buckingham Palace said yesterday the document related to US proceedings to which the Duke of York is not a party, and that any suggestion of impropriety with underage minors is categorically untrue. As the investigations begin into Epstein's death, the questions, and now conspiracies, will continue, as will the frustration and anger of his victims, who still seek justice.
Well, earlier I spoke to the US lawyer Lisa Bloom, who represents 2 complainants against Jeffrey Epstein. I began by asking her, where does this leave her clients and how would they get anywhere near the truth?
What we have been doing the last few weeks behind the scenes is working with the criminal authorities because we felt it was important that the criminal process go first. With Mr. Epstein's death, the criminal case against him ends. And that means the civil cases can begin. Those are lawsuits for money damages that I intend to file for my Epstein victims this week so they can get full and fair compensation for what he did to them. And I'm calling upon the administrator of his estate to freeze all of his assets so that all of the victims, not just my clients, but all of them can come forward and make claims.
Have you spoken to your 2 clients in the last day or so? I mean, how are they feeling about what's happened?
Yes, they're in shock. They're having a hard time processing it. One of my clients says she's just so angry at the jail officials who failed to keep him alive because she has had a long road to get here and she wants justice against him, and now she'll be deprived of that. So she wants some accountability for the negligence in the jail. The other one says, you know what? It's kind of a relief. He's not going to be able to harm anyone else. He's not going to be able to retaliate against her. And she sleeps a little easier at night now that he's gone.
There are obviously a lot of conspiracy theories flying around the internet, especially, given how many rich and powerful people were associated with Epstein. How do you view those as an attorney?
You know, I'm interested in getting to the truth. There does need to be an investigation. There should have been an investigation many years ago when the first brave victims came forward and basically their claims were swept under the rug by authorities. But they persisted. They didn't give up. God bless them for it. So it's not too late now to do the right thing and do these investigations. With Jeffrey Epstein being gone, I hope that people will come forward because now is the time.
Lisa Bloom, thank you very much.
Thank you.